Good evening, everyone. I call this February monthly board meeting to order. It's 5:34. Would everybody please stand for the pledge and a brief moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. So we want to look at the agenda and see if anybody sees anything that we need to modify before we approve it.
Make the motion to approve. Second.
We have a first,
Second.
we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. It's unanimous. Brett, you're up with the safety minute and cool moment.
All right, so I got some slides here. First on safety moment, just being again prepared for winter storms. We're doing a lot of marketing kind of around, when power lines are down. One thing to note is with the ice that can accumulate on a live line, it can actually insulate it enough to where it won't blow a fuse. So you see a down line treated as live, especially in the icy conditions. As far as cool moment, a couple things we got going on. One, youth tour. So we're taking applications for that. They're due, I think, February 13th, so they're already passed. That is the 14th through the 21st. So youth tour's coming up. Second thing was congratulations to Jason for doing the farmers feeding the flock. And then the third thing, we continue to post positive information that we're getting from our FiberStream members. This was a testimonial. You don't know how happy it was today when blank called to ask if I wanted to renew a contract with them for 5 years. I told them absolutely not. I now have service with PowerStream Fiber. I get a real person when I call. Their internet is less expensive and I trust them. So I think those are pretty cool testimonials. We've had several people call into the office, a lot of Facebook traction as far as just great service, the price point, and the fact that they can call in here, right? And so that's the cool ones.
Good, thank you, sir. Nice positives to have. Next item then is for your information. If anybody has any questions related to any of those items, now's the time.
The X charges, you got a new format? Is that right on this?
You broke it. I think it's broken out.
It's just the actual statement.
It's the actual.
Oh, is that what it is?
You
Okay.
keep on going down, it looks, if you go. to the
Right, if you go
bottom.
there, I.
Okay, just one, I say, because this looks a little different to me.
Yeah, it's just the actual statement.
Okay.
Keep you on your feet, right?
Hurdle Cellars Winery.
Yeah, we went. That was our Christmas party for this year.
And then on the actual bill under Crystal, there's a fairly significant amount. CSF, RTIC, AMDB, Katy, Texas.
Have to look at it.
Pages now.
It's right below. Let's see, you got, it's on the actual.
Oh, you're on the actual.
Yeah, on the actual.
See that one?
You get an answer here for you. 10 seconds. Maybe 20.
I think it's marketing stuff that we ordered for PowerStream. But Let's wait. My memory serves me correctly. That's what it is.
Yeah, we can do that. Or do you have it now?
Yeah, it is marketing stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
There's one more under Crystal for HP.com. I'm guessing that's computers of some sort, but the amount, I'm guessing it's multiple.
That one's actually under Sam. Yeah, that's,
So are you ready to understand?
Yeah.
It makes it that page right there.
Yep. that's computers.
Okay. That's a fair number, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's, I can give you the exact count if it's a no,
Yes.
that it is computers.
Yeah, I presume that was the case with the payer. I'm good.
Yeah, the other one's marketing items.
Any other questions as it relates to for your information? Everybody good?
Real quick, Brett, did you want to talk about that guy? He, it was brought to my attention by a member that, this one person is wanting to start up or did start up something for teaching 4-H kids how to train animals. So remember I asked you if you'd heard that guy's name?
Yeah.
Did you?
So I know we didn't sponsor anything for it, but I don't know much more than that.
Okay, well, that's all I need, want to make sure you check it, because.
Yep.
This, guy said, hey, it's kind of a shyster, so.
Carl's question was, he gave me a name and basically it said, hey, are we sponsoring this through a
Oh, okay.
4-H function? And we're not, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so everybody's good to go into the next item, which happens to be the approval of the previous meeting minutes, January session. Everybody looked over them. Any changes before we approve?
I'll make motion for.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. It's unanimous.
You're doing an excellent job. You're doing an excellent job on that.
With the minutes.
Oh, thank you.
All right, next up on the agenda is operational and strategic oversight, Brad.
Yep, so I'm gonna hit the metrics up first. Just some things, median temperature, obviously, we had a very, very cool January. So we were actually about 4.7% cooler than our 5-year average. So
See, I thought it would have been more than that.
yeah,
I thought it would have been more than that.
4.7 is still because this is an average of the median over the entire month. So a 4.7% is a pretty big swing over a 5-year average. Yeah. And then you look at how that translates into purchase energy. So you can see we're about 1.2% above our 5-year average, which was about a little over 33.5 million kWh. And then demand, our demand was up we did not hit any type of all-time record peak, but it is high. So it was at 65,000 kW, which ended up being about 2.5% higher than our 5-year average. So you can see that the weather definitely dictates our demand and our energy pretty significantly. Then you look how that's spread out. You've got residential that carries a lot of that, right, because of heating. And so they're 1.2% above average, but this is to budget. Commercial was about 12.4 and industrial's down 6.9 and transmission about 1.1. So the question that I would ask if I was you is what's the swing in the commercial and industry? And really what that is so when we budgeted, so there are 2 big accounts that are moving from commercial, large commercial to industrials. When we budgeted that, we budgeted it all year long, and it actually won't happen until June 1st. So until June 1st, you're going to see a little bit of an offset there according to budget. And that's just how we ended up having to budget it. So it'll look a little odd for the first quarter or so until June, essentially. Or is it June or April?
June.
June. Okay. Yeah.
I believe that.
So that's the difference. You essentially have two extra big accounts in commercial compared to budget and two less accounts in industrial. So it's just a budgeting thing.
Okay.
So then if you look at the entire month, we ended up right about 0.4 less than budget. So we ended up just basically flat to budget. Gross margins, as you would expect, you see our the actuals compared to budget, and then how far above we are on the 5-year average. So nothing surprising there. I'm going to jump to outages and operations. So this is our daily SAIDI. Nothing really screams out. We had a couple outages in January. Nothing that screams major storm or anything like that. Lost consumer hours. So the little dot there in the middle is our 5-year average. We were just a tick ahead of that at about 1,700. And then number of outages, we're about flat to it at 43. But not out of line of what you see in past years. From a safety standpoint, so this kind of shows you our plan to actual. So our plan this year is to have 48 crew audits, which the plan last year was 12. And we haven't started those yet. We typically don't until the crews get out. And then near misses, suggestion and incidents. As you can see, we've completed 2 of those this year. And that's kind of where our plan's at. So. Let me keep moving.
Sure.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk about was fiber project. And so a couple of updates there on the fiber. So Lit Fiber's back in town. They've resumed drop installations now that snow conditions have improved. This has allowed us to reduce the backlog to normal operating levels. So last month, I think we were sitting right around 50. We are less than 20 as of a couple of days ago in our backlog. So 20 is about what our running average is as far as backlog. So we're back up and going with that. Also, all the stuff that we did during snow where we kind of just laid it on top of the ground, all that stuff is dug under now. So we have no fiber laying on the ground or anything like that. As far as the bead, just so y'all aware, we were told it was going to be in December that we would have a contract. We still have not seen a contract. They're saying the end of this month, about like they do every month. So I do have an action item here that I would like you guys to consider. So during our October meeting, we requested approval to accept the risk associated with the BEAD grant and to proceed with a 3-month agreement with Entrust. I put it on your iPad what that 3-month looks like. So if you look at Exhibit A, it gives you the amounts that you guys approved. And the reason I asked you guys for approval, it's in our budget. So this capital spend for fiber is in the fiber budget. But because we don't have a signed contract with the state, it is approved through so it is approved at the federal level. We just haven't gotten the contract yet. We brought it to you guys to say, hey, we want to go ahead and get started on this. And you guys approved that 3 months. What I'm telling you is we're going to be running out of that soon. And so it's kind of like, do we really want to stop or keep going? And so what I'm suggesting tonight is that you all approve to proceed with the Entrust scope that was included in the 2026 budget in advance of receiving the fully executed BEAD contract from the state. So that number is, if you look at the estimated total, which is the middle column in that Exhibit A, I'm asking basically, can we go ahead and move forward with spending that? And again, I don't know how much of it will get done, but we are going to go over the 872 that's in that 3-month column probably in the next couple of weeks. And so the decision is do we want to keep moving forward? We're making a lot of headway on things that like environmental, and we're doing all the make ready stuff out in the field. So I would hate to stop them. We did get all the materials. So we received, not all of them, but we've received a big batch of materials. So everything is in line for us to start when we projected.
Okay.
I would hate to stop the field work and the design, high level design work in order on waiting on this contract. I think the likelihood of anything changing in BEAD is very, very low now because the federal government has approved it through the NTIA. It's just now they're trying to get all the language and the red lines done with the contract and the state level. So
Okay.
they're telling us the end of the month, you know.
And they told you that before,
they
but
told me
yeah.
that in December, so I don't know when it's going to be, but I would like to get approval in a form of a motion to go ahead and move forward with in-trust work. So we won't be building. This is just really in-trust work, which includes the high-level design, doing the environmental stuff, and then doing all the make-ready analysis where they're out, you know, shooting poles and figuring out where all this stuff's going to go.
So basically, all this stuff is up to the build point, and then once we get a contract, you guys will be ready to start.
Absolutely. Unless they delay the contract. I suggest we probably don't start building until we get the contract.
Right.
But we still got a lot of work to go before we get to the point where we're ready to build. Not a lot.
And the motion you're asking for allows us to progress to that point in time.
To keep moving on the intro.
Toward the build, yeah, okay.
And these,
To mitigate any delays.
Yes,
Well, not lose momentum.
and these numbers here, we've already,
you've approved them in the budget.
and we've given you the go ahead on the 872.
Yep.
So the other number then, we're
Is that
just
one?
adding to that.
Yeah.
It's not in addition to.
No.
Right.
It'll still be within these numbers, which are in the budget. Again, the reason I'm asking you for approval is because there is a small risk here, right? I mean, we're spending money without the contract being signed by the state. Again, I think it's even lower than it was last time you approved this, just because the federal government has approved it.
I was gonna say, that's all I was really worried about, the federal government.
They have approved.
Going back and forth, so.
Last night made you feel better, was that right?
I was gonna say, as long as the federal government can't go back on it, or won't, doesn't sound like, then.
Yeah.
So if we get a contract, what kind of timeframe as far as starting to build on that side?
So I think we're still talking, was it mid-March is the kind of the time
The
frame?
biggest thing will be the make readies, how much make ready. That's the biggest thing with this, is to make sure we can get know 100% what the make ready is gonna be, because once you get the make ready done, then you can build our way.
Make ready and environmental. But right now, I think the plan is still mid-March.
Isn't very far away.
No,
Right, that's
it's not.
Right around the corner.
As soon as they sign, I mean, we do have the fiber here.
Got the fiber here.
As soon as the,
On this property.
Yep.
yep, it's out.
There is some material out the other property, though. We are still using that. Although if you guys have seen, or if you haven't seen, you may want to drive by it. We're moving dirt and fences,
Out here.
parts are coming in for the fence, yeah. So we'll have that up and going. I know Sam went ahead and made the orders, so we got the trailer, what do you call those things? Containers on order to be delivered here.
I think they're usually shipping containers, but they're guaranteed to be dry. So there's some stuff you don't want to get wet, so you're gonna put them in containers like they.
Yep.
It's cheaper to buy them than put them.
All right, so we need to consider a motion to move forward and with the best one.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any additional discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. It's unanimous.
All right, on the meter project, we have about 50, actually there's 12 as today, 12 meters remaining to exchange. Most of these require member side work to be completed before we can proceed. So these 12 are things where, hey, the meter base needs to be updated by the member before we can touch it. And so there's 12 of those that we're still waiting on. We are coordinating with Aclara and SCI to transition some selected DCUs to go from cellular to fiber in the Delaware Lookout area. So since we have fiber over there, we're looking at actually converting those over to fiber. The final 2 DCUs are scheduled for installation actually tomorrow. We will begin decommissioning the legacy Aclara One platform, which allows us to remove the associated equipment currently housed in our substations. And so obviously, if you guys know, once we get those 12, we'll turn off the old server And then we'll be able to sell those transformers that we have in our substations. So again, we're pretty close to that. I can't give you a time frame because these 12 are really just going to wait. We're waiting on the members to do work. So depending on how long that takes, we could be done in a week or it could be a month. That's the updates on that. You want me to keep going?
Yes.
All right, so I took an action item at the beginning of the year when we proposed the construction work plan and then obviously the fiber project to create some dashboards. So these dashboards will be just they'll be included in your monthly packet of our metrics. But I wanted to go over and get some feedback in case you guys wanted to see something different. So I'm going to go ahead and show these. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the construction work plan. And so what we're looking at here is we committed to a 20% improvement in our reliability numbers, which the way we measure that is lost consumer hours. And so with the amount of work that we're actually doing this year on fuse coordination and there's one other piece of that, we believe line balancing and fuse coordination, we believe we can hit this 10% this year and then the next 10% next year. So what you see up here is there's a 5-year average up there. And then our plan, which is 10% lower than the 5-year average, we'll report out on this quarterly and it'll be red, green, or yellow. So we're either beating the plan, we're at the plan, or the opposite, right? So this one here is just essentially, are we meeting the reliability? Are we getting our bang for our buck when it comes to reliability from our construction work plan? So you'll see this every month, although it's only going to be updated obviously quarterly. The second thing on the operations construction work plan is the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5 pieces that basically make up the work that we're doing, right? And so you can see we've planned it out and this will be a quarterly output. This is really just around timing, right? So you'll see there fuse coordination. We are running a little bit behind right now. We plan on having that done by Q2. And so right now we've got that red showing that we want to be 50%. We think we're running a little bit behind right now.
Is that weather related?
A little bit, yes. It's also resource related and we've made some switches there. Load balancing. So once we have the fuse coordination all completed, we know where we need to balance our load at. So that'll be the next piece of this. Our plan is to have that basically done in Q3. And then our loops and tie work. So this is going to be on New Point and Lookout. We will start that work in Q2 and finish that in Q4 by the end of the year. Aged infrastructure is the 3 or 4 projects where we're actually doing construction work. We'll start that in Q2, finish that in Q4. And then the automation piece is, I'm reporting out because we thought we'd have that done by Q4, but we put the order in for the equipment and the equipment will not be here until the end of the year is what they're telling us. So by the time we get it, we don't think we'll be able to get it hung up. So right now, what I'm saying, our plan is to be done by Q1 of 2027 with the automation. And again, that's the 2 substations that we have in the plan. And then again, we'll show you guys this monthly. It'll be updated quarterly. So we have reliability improvement, timing, and the last thing is our capital spend plan. So what's in our budget is the numbers that you see there, which equal that 2.1, which is the top line of our CapEx spend, which is those projects I just went over a minute ago. You can see how we plan on spending that. And we'll report out as we get actuals and obviously red, green, yellow to the plan.
Okay.
So I think we got everything covered from a construction work plan. You got timing, you got reliability improvement, and then you got the budget. Thoughts on any of that? Anything you'd want to see differently? We are going to define what red, green, yellow means because obviously yellow would be a certain percentage off or below our plan. And then red would be a certain percentage.
Okay.
So we're kind of thinking through
working on
right
that
now. But as far as the look and the 3 different metrics, are you guys good with that on the construction work plan?
I mean, I think it's simple. Yeah. I mean, and if there's something else we think about later, maybe we can
We can always
add
add
to
it.
it, but
Yep.
I think it's a good start.
Yeah, I think it's a good start.
All right, so I'm gonna switch gears to fiber. So the way I've got fiber set up is there's phase 1 and phase 2, right? So we feel like there's things that we want to track on phase 1. that are differently than phase two because they are sort of two different projects built on, two different grants. And so what I'm going to tell you though is eventually those are going to merge, right? Because eventually all you're going to care about is the fiber project in a whole. So what we're thinking is we'll track them separately. And then once we get done with construction, we start bringing people online. That's probably when we'll merge them together. So this is phase one. So the first thing is our take rate. So what the numbers you see there for phase one are what was in our feasibility, our original business case. And you can see through January, this we're going to report out on monthly because it is, we get this data every month. We're reviewing it here. And it's in our business case broken out by month. So you can kind of see how we tick up there according to the plan. Business case revenue. So in our business case, there is a certain amount of revenue based upon, what packages folks are taking and how many people are signed up, obviously. And so you can see it ramps up there and kind of where we're at as far as actuals today. And then the last one for phase one that we thought would be a good metric is revenue versus debt services. This is going to be an actual number, not a planned number, because obviously we're borrowing as we need it. And that's all dependent on when Matt gets, grant money in. So it's kind of hard to predict what the plan is. So what you're going to see here is just actuals. So actual revenue over debt services. And the other thing I would like to say is as you know, this business isn't going to be cash flow positive in the first year or two. And so this will look ugly for the first couple years until you get to the point where it's cash flow positive. So this metric may not mean anything until we get progressing through years. As you guys are well aware, in the utility space, utility economics doesn't measure a capital spend that's putting assets in the ground for 40, 50 years, use. The take rates and the things they want, right? It's an extended time frame. So that's what we got for phase one. So again, what we got covered is what the take rates are, which matters everything, right? What the business case revenue is compared to plan, and then the revenue versus debt. So then if we switch gears to, stop.
These are monthly, go back if you would. These are monthly amounts, correct?
Yep.
How difficult would it be to build a cumulative on the revenue?
Wouldn't be hard at all.
Would you do that?
Yep.
I'd like, it's just something, if we have 3 good months and then we have a couple, I'd still like to know at the end of 5 months where.
That's good. Very good feedback. I can add a line in there that wouldn't be any problem at all.
Thanks.
And then I did want to say the reason the debt service would be quarterly is because we pay the debt quarterly.
Yeah. Yep. So then on phase two, it's pretty similar, although we're in construction. So there's a different one here. So take rates, as you can see, we don't expect take rates until August because that's when we'll start lighting people up and it'll ramp up from there. And then mainline design build miles. So what that means is there's a certain amount of miles per our design that have to get constructed. And so we have a plan each month on how many miles we need to build to get to the overall build being completed by the end of the year is our plan. And so this breaks out what the plan is compared to what our actuals are. And then our budget, again, this is just really taken from the budget that we submitted to you guys and you approved for phase two. And so we'll measure that quarterly. We have a plan from our budget and we'll have actuals that we can track to. And Dale, maybe the mainline design build might make more sense to cumulative.
Yeah, to me, cumulative is going to help me get an overall picture of where we're at rather than the silo of each month.
Nope, I agree. We'll add a line in there.
On several of those, it might be appropriate to do.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. Okay, any other feedback as far as? So what we'll do is I won't put this up on the screen. This will literally be part of your metric package. Every month you'll get that. And then we'll update it obviously quarterly, or if it's monthly, we'll update it monthly.
Sounds good.
That meet the desire?
I think so.
All indications are the fiber project's rolling right along and things are
good.
no hiccups, no.
Nope. We've had a few outages here and there. We've had some MSTs that have went kaplooey. From what we talked to the suppliers and that, it's nothing alarming. It's just normal. You know, these are electronics,
It just
right?
happens.
And they're just gonna happen. Yeah. The folks, that was one of the comments that we got actually was we had a lady hook up and literally, I think within day 3, that MST quit on her. She called in here and we got on her right away. I think it was a couple days before we were able to get it fixed, but her point was, well, I really like being able to call in and talk to somebody and know what the plan is. And she was like, didn't have a problem with it. It was going to be a couple days before we were going to be able to get it fixed. So good feedback so far. So next I'm going to shift gears to the risk management report. You guys have it in your iPad. Just a brief overview. So I met with my leadership team on February 4th. You can see kind of what we basically do. We reevaluate the current risk and then we identify any new risks. So we did close 10 of the open risk, which is good. That means we're making progress on mitigating risk. We did add one, which is something that we've all talked about, which is new large loads locating in our territory, which we have to serve. We have an obligation to serve them. And even with strong GNT protections, which we have in place today, we need to really look at our governance documents. So that's on the agenda today. We're going to start talking about that today. I suspect that'll probably be over the next several months that we'll be reviewing policies that could be impacted by a large load and making those changes as we see fit. So in summary, it is the view of management or leadership that appropriate mitigations are put in place to maintain operations within acceptable risk. Questions on any of that?
Second page at the bottom, risk report. Where we're gonna monitor, is there any update on that situation?
Oh, yes. So it has only happened one time and we've had other large industries make late payments. And so I was originally going to meet with them and Crystal's thing was as well, if we're going to meet with one of them that was late, we probably ought to meet with the other ones that have been late in the years past. And I agree with her that right now we're just going to monitor it. They've only been late once.
Do you have any indications
I don't.
of anything at all?
Yeah, somebody was on vacation.
Well.
Rides the chair.
I mean, that's what they told us.
As far as a business, their prognosis for anything you don't have, do you have any information, whether they provided or any general information
I really don't.
that would indicate?
Otherwise, no, I don't. We were going to meet with them. They keep telling us that, you know, they move stuff out. They're looking for business and that's about all we know. We did budget it. So more very low again this year.
More of the same.
Yeah. I don't think there's any reason to, just because of a late payment to do what we were kind of talking about originally. If it continues or there's a trend here, then yes. But at this point, we're just going to monitor it. Good question. Any other questions on the risk report out? Keep moving. All right, Charles River Associates report. So I put out a report and I know it's a little long, but it is, and if you guys want me to print out a copy, I would be more than happy to. I know it's kind of hard to read on an iPad. So just some highlights from that because it's very interesting and going into, as you guys know, our state legislators there's a lot of chatter about affordability, right? The affordability word comes out a lot in our industry today. And so it's interesting if you read this report, it really talks about the fact that over the United States, the cost of electricity has gone up. It's gone up primarily because of a few states. So those few states are really dragging our average up. And those few states, for instance, California, they're spending a lot of money on fire mitigation, more they should, right? And so it's really driving the cost of their electricity rates in California up because they're spending money on fire mitigation. So that's just one example of several states that are really dragging those up. If you look at Indiana, we are below the average and right at inflation. And if you actually look at our numbers, we're pretty well less than that. And so we're like running around 2% last 5 years, year over year. So I would suggest that if you review the data that affordability when it comes to electricity isn't necessarily, it's isolated to a few cases or a few states. And we have the same thing that goes on with Indiana. So if you look at Indiana's rates overall, there are a few that are spending big dollars on aged infrastructure, and those are really driving the averages up. And so you are going to hear a lot. The governor has created a task force. I believe the IURC is going to be doing community roundtable type events. And so I think it's going to be very important to make sure that you guys have a good understanding of where we're at on rates, and the fact that just like the overall United States, the state of Indiana has a few that are spending a lot of money and for the right reasons, and it's driving the rates up. But that doesn't mean that all of us in the state of Indiana are having an affordability or a huge increase in cost. Again, if you look at our rates, we've been well under inflation year over year. So, and I'll say the same thing that Ed Solly always says in legislative is we are in an industry where it's very impractical to say that electric rates are going to go down. And if they are, you probably ought to question if the utility is spending the money in plant, because inflation is going to hit our components. Our transformers in some cases have seen 140% increases. And so you are going to see inflation, and that's going to be reflected. But I think where we're at being well less than inflation, we're able to offset some of those inflations, still do the work that we need to do. So that's what I gleaned out of that report. If you haven't read it, I would highly recommend it. It really puts it in perspective, and this is really an unbiased view. Charles Rivers Associates is not a utility. They do analysis and strategic planning for the industry. And so I thought it was a really, really good read. So
I did as well. Yes. Worth the time to go through it anyway. If you have any questions on that? I did on page 22 of the conclusions and recommendations. I think it just kind of stood out.
Yep.
Right. Anybody have anything on that? I guess we'll continue with you, Matt.
Okay, this month, January, there's not really much of a huge trend or a ton to tell you in general. As Brett said, it was a very, very cold month. That resulted in higher usage. But we'll start here with the balance sheet. In general, this is combined here, what this is. So net utility plant there, we did have an increase there. I know Johnny has been replacing poles at a fairly rapid clip still. The red tag ones, as well as ones for a telco, and we get reimbursed when we get reimbursed, that number goes down. The other part, nothing on this, Rose. I guess if you go, or you can cut off my notes. Just pull it up on my computer.
Move through the first section quick, didn't we?
You did.
And just for a couple points here, we'll normally have it broke out just like you guys have normally seen it, where it's a combined budget, electric budget, and fiber budget. We did not get the into NISC, the fiber budget. And so we didn't put the combined in there this month because it would have looked weird because it didn't have the fiber. It wouldn't have meant anything because it didn't have the fiber pieces into the budget. And so what I did is we separated them out this month. You will see, we've got that in there now. And so you'll see all three components.
We've been
just
tweaking
like
it the last few days.
Yeah, we have.
There's some. I hope, and then I hope it will next month
So for February to be
flow smoothly, and we're trying to, when we initially put the stuff in for fiber, we also put it in as just level across the months, and I'm going back and trying to, hey, fiber is gonna go like this, not like this, so we're gonna make some changes with that. So my notes are, so the total current and accrued assets dropped, reduction in cash and AR. And then the only other ones to note was the long-term debt. We did borrow another $1 million. And then as well as on the current and accrued liabilities, that went down because we paid a bunch of AP. So there's not really a ton there from a balance sheet perspective. The next one, absolutely nothing rose to the level like of the 5% and 250,000 that I normally would have the letters and the notes on. In general, as I said earlier, the operating revenue we had, it was a colder month. So it was cold. So there's not really anything that stuck out, at least not for 1 month into the year.
Just an observation, Matt, that it's to me, it's counterintuitive that our operating revenue is up by a couple $100,000, but our power costs are down by just. Why would that be?
Tracker. So the tracker has that true up function from last year, so that has a little bit to do with it.
Some of it also is the class that did have the higher usage. I mean, when it's freezing cold and our budget, the way we budget a certain amount, when residential and commercial is high, it moves it. If it had been a really warm January, it'd be the other way.
That's probably the majority of it, actually. It's the margin you pull from compared to everything else. When you budget.
When you budget, yeah, and it's just a budget thing. I mean, it's not it'll shift right back when we have a cool month in summer or another warmer month in the winter.
It shows up when you have, like you said, really, really cold. Because we budget for a certain amount of.
It was
bag,
so
certain amount of
cold in January. I mean, like he said, 5% is enormous.
Yeah.
And then next, this shows cash. Cash was down at 96,000 for the month. Really nothing of any significance to report there. I mean, we borrowed what we needed to use. So lastly is the plant. You can see, as I said, the big chunk is in pole replacements and the meters and transformers. We bought several transformers last month, as well as we did get a skid of the new meters as people build. We replaced them all, but now we need to have some stock on hand in order as we go forward. So that was the stock came in last month as well. So there's really nothing that stuck out to me this month that really seemed odd there. And then I put at the bottom, as you can see on there, the fiber that shows the invoices as they've come in. So. The first time where I really feel like I can give you some information for how the year is going to go is the end of March. We get a quarter done. I know kind of, all right, we got a quarter of the year is over with. We're through the winter. All right, now we pretty much can, this is where we're at going forward. Then we have about 3 months where the weather is kind of steady in general. It's not going to be too hot and not going to be too cold. And then we have the summer, which can shift things a bunch too.
So one month does not make a trend. Is that what you're saying?
I don't believe any January will ever make it through. I mean, I would say the groundhog would probably be a better predictor of the trend, at least in a 1 month scenario there. Any questions on financials? I mean, in general, I think in the past month, I've seen they're making good progress on the red tag poles. I know that they're, as well as the poles for the telco. I know they're making good progress on a lot of that stuff. So I know the 2 weeks where they had 2 feet of snow, it's pretty tough to do a lot, but that slowed things down a little bit. But I could tell they're back with the invoices I got this week already. They got a lot done last week. So.
Right. Very good. Thanks, Matt. guess we'll continue on to the item, the annual bylaw review. Now, I know we talked last month about, this was mentioned, this topic was mentioned, correct? And I think this is the first time we've seen the red lines. Is that correct as well? Prepared by Richie. And so I'm going to have Brett go over those changes. I'm not so sure, at least I didn't see anybody else really submit any additional suggestions. Doesn't mean we still couldn't. I'm not certain that we need to approve this tonight, but it's possible that we could approve what changes have been made if we want to think about doing that. So go ahead, Brad, and you can maybe explain.
To build on what Steve just said too, so you guys gave me these things to red lines. We worked with Part Richie to red line them. But I will tell you that next month, we are going to be bringing to you changes according to, so we're looking at all this, what happens if you get a large load, right? And how does that affect your stuff? That hasn't been completed on our bylaws. So there will be additional changes that are coming, whether it's next month or the next month or both, from the lens of a large load. So that is not included in here. So there's really 4 changes here. One is that today in our bylaws, the date you have to have your petition, if you want a petition to run for the nominating committee or petition to run for a director, you have to have that in 75 days before the annual meeting. That is a very, very, very tight deadline as far as getting everything into survey and ballots and to get it into our magazine. And so what we're recommending here is to change that from 75 to 90. But the implementation for that will not be until next year because I don't think it's fair to do this year. So it wouldn't be implemented until January 1st of 2027. But again, it's moving the petition date from 75 days to 90 days, really to give us more time to get it into the folks from a ballot standpoint, from a magazine standpoint. The second change is to treat vacancies. So director vacancies the same. And so there are 2 different ways that kind of contradict each other in here. And so it treats vacancies the exact same. And when we talk through, okay, so let's say someone retires and there's a vacancy. Today, it basically says you'll fill it at the next annual meeting. Well, the question came up from legal is, okay, well, what if that happens 2 weeks before the annual meeting? The nominating committee isn't going to have enough time. And it's not going to be on the ballot, right? And so the time frame we came up with working with Crystal's team is 120 days. So essentially, if a director is vacated and it's 120 days prior to the annual meeting, you're going to fill it at that annual meeting, the nominating committee, right? Or petition. If it's after the 120 days, it will move to the next annual meeting. And so that's change 2. Change 3 is completely up to you. Basically, Part Richie said it's very uncommon to see special meetings with a 5-day notice. So today, if we have to have a special meeting, the secretary has to send the notice out in 5 days prior. That's not really in line with where the majority of co-ops are at. So we put 48 hours. You guys can change that to whatever you want. We just kind of felt like 48 hours gives us the flexibility if we have something important come up that you guys get 48-hour notice and you can have a special meeting. So that was a recommended change. And then the 4th change is in the EDR section, putting in there the large load agreement into the EDR section. So that just that's one of those where if we get a large load, you need that language in there. It was one of the first ones that we kind of saw needed updated. So you can see the red lines in there. Other than that, that's really the 4 changes that are made in this round. Questions on anything?
I think it's page 12. I don't know. Yeah, page 12. Basically then the first red line, I think I understood you to say, since we wouldn't be doing anything in 26, we'd wait till 27. Do we need? That wouldn't be included then. You understand my question? In other words, occurring prior to December 31st, 2026, we could scratch that, couldn't we? Am I
Occurring prior to December 31st of 2026. And
because we said we wouldn't need to make that. We're kind of through 26 already to where this wouldn't be.
yeah, I think that's what she's saying. So if you
Oh, so she's-
members may be nominated for openings on the nominating committee by petition filed at the headquarters building at least 75 days before the annual meeting occurring prior to December 31st of 2026. At least 90 days
Before
after
2027.
2027. Yeah. I think it's just clarifying that it's 75 days
Okay.
January 1.
until January.
Maybe. And then, just. Something else I thought I saw. So in order to approve the red line changes to the bylaws, we need a super majority vote, correct? Should we just delay this until next month,
I don't like voting on bylaw changes without.
the entire board? So,
Yeah, there's no like hurry.
and you said though you were gonna be coming with additional modifications on the load.
Absolutely.
Requirements. So, you know, it doesn't mean we can't do this in increments, but we can think about these changes. There was something I'm still looking at, and maybe it's just,
And if you all see other things that need to be taken care of, just let us know. We can get them redlined.
oh, there it is on page 12. It's that last, it says the president of the RMC may call the meeting. We don't even, who's the president?
What page? Sorry.
It's page 12.
On
I mean, are they referring to,
That's a good point.
so I think
That's supposed to be chairman, probably.
well, is it chairman or is it CEO? I mean, surely it's not the CEO, but I think we want to change that to probably chairman as well.
I agree.
So we'll keep that in there for next month when we.
I'll go ahead and redline.
Yeah.
Change that part, update this.
That's what I was thinking. Did anybody have anything else at this time based upon, you know, what was?
Small, when you mentioned that the members nominate, and it said filed at the headquarters building, should we put AC or ANC on there before? I mean, just in case somebody doesn't know what this is headquarters, building, you know, where.
I don't think it hurts anything. I'll redline it.
That's fine. Oh. All right, so I think everybody's fine with waiting to approve this potentially next month. And then, you know, as we continue to have additional red lines, we can, you know, do that throughout the board meetings. Okay. I think we can go on over to the large load review.
Yep. So we're going to go over two tonight. What I'm looking for is these are your guys' rules and regs. These are your guys' policies as a board. And so I'm really just looking for guidance. So what we're trying to do is look through the lens of if you were to receive a large load in our territory and we have the obligation to serve, do we need changes to reduce risk, protect our existing members, things like that, right? And so these were just some high-level review, and I'm going to start with the rules and regs. So there were really 7 things that I think we need to think about. One is the definition of a member, right? And so you can read through that. Second is credit worthiness or deposits. As you guys are well aware, if you were to get a large load, and a large load is defined as anything bigger, anything 50 megawatts or bigger, most likely that's going to be covered. The credit worthiness and the deposits will all be taken care of at the G&T level. And so we probably need to accommodate for that. Second is the disconnection protections, the voltages and quality of standards, the line extension structure, liabilities around curtailment, and then metering and operation controls. So if you read through these, for each one of those 7 things I just called out, there are recommended adjustments that we would possibly want to make to our rules and regs to account for that. Now, with that said, this is all wrote around the fact that we now have policies in place at Hoosier where if it's anything above 50 or above, it's going to be a transmission level service. There will be a special contract, 3-party special contract. So it'll be the entity, us, and Hoosier. Hoosier's policy says that any large load has to participate in curtailment. In other words, it doesn't matter if you're a data center or not. If MISO is calling for curtailment, they will have to curtail 24/7. And then so those are the things that you need to take in consideration when we're making these changes. So what I'm looking for as far as the rules and regs are these things in line with changes that you think we need to make? Is there more discussion we need to have about any of these? The next step would really be for me to go ahead and redline these things or have legal work with me to redline to take these into consideration. Any questions on the rules and regs? Any comments?
Will this be retroactive?
Yeah. I wouldn't know why not.
So the one that we currently have a deal with, this would,
It'd be less than 50 megawatts.
okay.
So there's no one currently.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
That's why.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking the one,
Maybe we need to, yeah.
I wasn't thinking about the 50.
So I think what I heard you say is you can get these redlined for us to review.
Yep.
Potentially as soon as the next meeting or the meeting
Yes.
after. Was there anything, I don't know if we've all spent enough time going over any of this. Maybe we need to, if there's no feedback, additional feedback based upon going over these a little more closely. We could get with Brad before that's done, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't go ahead and incorporate some red lines for the upcoming meeting. Okay.
All right, next is policy 4.3, which is our capital credit policy. And the reason I thought this one was one that would be appropriate to review is this comes down to how and what you guys want to allow. So I'm just going to go straight to it. There are a lot of different ways you can treat a large load. You could say they're a member. And if they're a member, you have to allocate capital credits. You don't necessarily have to retire them, although there is some risk if you don't. There are some folks that are building into the contract will never retire these capital credits. I think there's some risk there because we are a co-op. There are other folks that are saying we are not going to we're going to allocate them. We're not going to retire them for the first 10 years. After 10 years, we're going to retire them the exact same year, but they will be discounted. And the difference between the discounted and what is actually being retired would be margin for the other classes. Or you can treat them as a non-member. If you treat them as a non-member, we will be a taxable entity at some point, right? Because you're going to fail the 85-15 rule. There are co-ops that have large loads that have done that because the amount of money that it brings into the co-op way offsets what you pay in taxes. The nice thing about being a non-member is you no longer have to even allocate capital credits because they are not a member. And so there are pluses and minuses to both of those. Depending on who you talk to from legal, you're going to get a different answer, I found, in the community. So we just need to think through what our risk appetite is. I wanted to start this discussion now just to kind of get your feel on, the board's feel on how you'd want to treat those. Again, there's really kind of two different ways. One is you treat them as a member. You have to allocate them capital credits, and there's a couple different ways you can handle the retirement. You treat them as a non-member. We will be a taxable entity because of the 8515 rule, which means you'll have to pay taxes. I would hope that you would say probably, well, we need to probably look into that to mean what would our taxes be compared to a potential generation of revenue. And we could run some of those models based upon what loads we know these things are coming in at, as far as, typically they're 600 megawatts, one gigawatt or 2 gigawatts. So we can kind of model those and see what that does. But I can tell you that different co-ops across the United States are treating it, their boards are deciding to do all three of those methods I just gave you.
Is there one that's more gravitate toward though? Or that's just,
It depends on what board you talk to.
okay,
It is a local board decision. Like I said, I think legal is going to tell you there's a little bit of risk in each of them. The reason legal doesn't have a strong standing right now is because it's really never been challenged, right, in the court of law. So there is no case studies. There's nothing. And of course you don't, as the co-op, would be the first case study, right? But that's really what it comes down to. And if you read my notes in this, we are going to have to change the capital credit policy, because if we follow what the policy says today, all your money is going to go to this large load as far as capital credits. I mean, that's just
the way it would be.
the way that the policy is wrote. So we are going to have to change this. We just need to think, I think the first question is how do you want to treat them as far as non-member or member?
That'd be the first question we probably
I think
could
so.
answer.
So if we treat them as a non-member, the rest of our businesses is still the same. They're just out, you know what I'm saying? Or is it all?
They wouldn't have a vote. In other words, they're not members. They don't have a vote. You do not allocate any margin to them.
But we would still do that for who's currently members.
Absolutely.
That's my question.
It wouldn't change that.
That wouldn't change that part.
Basically, the way,
Paying taxes on the non-member,
no, you'd be paying taxes on the entire revenue stream.
on everybody.
We can still be a cooperative, but we'd be paying taxes.
You'd be a taxable with.
We'd still be allocating capital credits and
Absolutely.
members now.
Yeah, it'd be more like the ag co-ops today. But the margin that the large load generates, you could allocate across, you could reduce rates, you could, put infrastructure in, you could retire it as capital credits to the rest of the members. In other words, you would not retire that to that large load. A lot of legal people will tell you that that's the way to go, because you don't have to allocate it. So there's no question of if you retire, you don't have to allocate it. But then I guess, you could question, well, are you really still a co-op? Now, I agree with Matt's assessment that there's a lot of co-ops in the United States that are for-profit co-ops, and they've never been challenged, but they're not an electric co-op. So how does the state feel about that? So there's some things there that you could be challenged on too, that you just got to be aware of. The law today, as far as the REMC Act, doesn't really distinguish a non-member from a member. So it doesn't cleanly say, it just says that members will be allocated margin, anything above cost to serve. So
if the decision box were to classify them as a member, they would fall under our current processes regarding retirements of capital credits, with the exception they would be allocated,
have to be allocated.
Wouldn't have to be retired or paid.
But then you question,
Well,
then I question,
Yeah.
you're a co-op.
Yeah, that fundamentally doesn't sit well. I don't know how you can take 8,000 members and say, but this one's a member too, but we're gonna do something different.
There are folks that have done it. I do want to be clear.
That has been done. Yes. Or you could.
With legal ramifications?
No, there's been no case law. No one's challenged it. So
They have signed contracts that says this is how it'll be
Oh, okay.
and
Hope that that takes care of.
What's an example?
If even as a non-member is going to open up a wide variety of questions and issues for everybody else going forward, right?
If they were treated as a non-member, they would not be a voting participant and they would not be allocated any capital credits. As far as that, they would be treated pretty much, the same as far as policies and procedures and things like that. But honestly, most of the relationship type things will be all in a contract, a special agreement anyway. So really the big things is one, they wouldn't be allocated any capital credits. And then two, they were non-voting. I don't know if I answered your question, Suzanne. But the rest of the members would see no difference, right? I mean, we would have to pay taxes on it, but they would see no difference as far as.
Well, and therein it go back to the comment you made earlier about the calculations of comparing what are the tax implications for doing it versus the revenue gain to see, does it make sense?
So you're saying an action item?
Yes, thank you.
But have that.
I was trying to get you to drink. I led you there. I mean, to me, that's and that's just me speaking, but to call them a member and treat them differently because of their side, to me, is fundamentally opening yourself up for something. I'd be more inclined to explore treating them as a non-member and doing the actual calculations to determine if treating them as a non-member benefits the RMC collectively by comparing their revenue to the tax implications. Because if 85% of our revenue is from non-members, then we become a taxable entity.
Yeah, and it pretty much any size load that you,
Would do that.
Yeah.
Is that 85%? Is that an annual revenue amount?
That I don't know.
Is it a period of time, 3 years, or is it 1
annually,
year?
if your non-member revenue is over 50%, you're gonna be taxable.
Forever here.
Well, I mean, once you switch,
You're there.
you're not gonna.
Yeah, you're not
come
gonna
back
go back.
against that. I mean, I guess you could.
If that member leaves.
If that member leaves, then you
Customer.
can go back.
Yeah.
Which
The
you're not
other,
gonna
the
put in
other
that much
thing
money
is
later.
if that member provides 100% of your margins
Yeah.
and everybody else is not contributing, should that member get 100% of the capital credits? I mean, if they bring enough margin themselves that everybody else's rates are below their cost of service, should everybody get a capital credit, or should it all just go to them? I mean, that's the,
That's the other way you can look at it.
yeah. I mean, if their net benefit to all the other rate classes is all their rates go down and they're below the cost of service, should they be a capital credit?
Sure.
I mean,
That's all.
you get a lower electric bill on the front end, doesn't really make any difference if you get money on the back end.
Things to think about. I'll take the action item. We can do some scenario testing there and see what that kind of comes out to be. Anything else you guys can think of that you would want to explore? I can kind of lay out the two options, pros and cons.
It's a sticky wicket, the whole thing is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a good problem to have if you get it, but
Yeah, but you want to be prudent in having the decisions or the plan ahead of time because you don't want that laid in your lap and have to hurry through a decision of that.
I agree.
yeah,
So we'll probably keep this item on the list just to keep talking about.
Certainly.
Every month.
Yeah. That works.
We do.
We good? Right. So the next item is talking about the nominating committee candidates. Brian, what have you?
I have Derek Hudson for one, and then close on another one, but
Not quite yet.
no.
Okay, so let me ask this, where are we at in the deadline? Because I know, I think Abby said something here not too long ago, but, so you've got somebody else.
More than 75 days.
Because I haven't found anybody. Carl, I'm assuming you haven't found anyone.
About it, no.
And Suzanne,
Steve, I have two.
you do have two.
She wins.
Yes, I have Courtney Crowe and Aaron Arnold.
Who was the first one?
Courtney Crowe.
Courtney Crowe. Because I guess we could go ahead and approve what
I
we
would.
have thus far.
Yep.
Um,
I contacted Brett about Courtney Crowe, and I just heard from Aaron Arnold this yesterday afternoon, so.
okay. So we can get, we'll make a motion to vote on that here in a minute. And then I assume we go ahead and put Derek down. And if, did you find the date?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm gonna ask for your all help and maybe Carl will too, if you know of anybody that's in my district, give me a call if you think,
Okay.
and I'll be glad to contact the same way with for Carl.
Can we use, I know that my guy's only been on one term, but can he go again? No, just.
They can't go two consecutive terms. I don't think.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I made a motion.
Is that something we could change?
Well, Dan just commented on, he's willing to make a motion on something else, but
You were the nominee.
I don't know that,
What's
being the
ramifications of them having?
bylaws, it would.
Well, if you had one that was serving and then was willing to serve again.
Yeah.
Is there any legal reasoning for them to be? I guess so much turnover of the nominating committee, why?
Why was there that reason?
Yeah.
I understand your question. I'm not sure.
Because finding one person isn't nearly as hard as finding two people every 3 years, but.
And in your case, because District 5, the current District 5 nominating committee was originally part of my District 4. So it's like, could he run a District 5? But based upon, I think, the bylaws, the short answer is probably not.
All right, so I mean, theoretically, you have 75 days before the annual meeting to submit names. But here's the things you're gonna start missing. So right now, we're planning on a candidate dinner at the end of February, which is, I think, next week. We have
Realize that.
candidate names. So April issue is due March 3rd, so that's next Tuesday. So they will not be in the April issue. And then the cover wrap, which is for our annual meeting notification, April 1st is the cutoff. So they'll miss the April issue if you don't get it by next Tuesday. They'll miss the cover wrap if you don't get it in by April 1st. But I think the deadline for the 75 days is into March anyway.
Mhm.
But we can always send out an email blast when we get everybody. We can send out a Facebook thing too, to help mitigate some of that loss.
That's a good idea. Just, if we get to that, I mean.
Yeah.
We have to assume.
I mean, the other thing is too, I mean, Carl, if you can't find anybody, you just leave it vacant.
And the same way with me.
There are
I
other
think, wasn't there,
nominating committee members.
where we just found one?
You
or-
found Joe. You found Joe for me. I mean, and Joe served a term and then didn't serve and now is back on.
Yeah.
And because I had one
I'd be worried if there was like 4 of you. But if there's a couple of you that it goes vacated, it's not, I mean, there are other
Let me do a
folks.
little harder talking and stuff.
And if you find somebody that wants to talk to us about it,
Here's what they tell me. It's kind of comical. Yeah, I'll run, but if I win, I'm gonna protest it. They really don't want to be. They really don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you don't want to put somebody on there that didn't completely.
Right. So I think what we need to do is make a motion for the three folks that have agreed to participate in the voting. And if we do get somebody else prior, well, I guess whenever, but hopefully by next Tuesday, you make sure you check your email and get a blast out to the directors and say, let's get them on that.
Yeah, send an email and a text. or-
Right. So, okay, so we need a motion for the two candidates that Suzanne's gotten, and then the one candidate for that Brian's gotten.
I'll make a motion to accept
Okay,
Stephen and Brian's.
okay.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, the same. It's unanimous. So hopefully, we'll have a lot of time, I guess, 6 more days, but there's a lot that can happen. I guess we're ready for the next item, which is do something for hometown this month? No? And with Jason being gone, was there anything that occurred? Was there a meeting? Who's your meeting that
February 9th.
Oh, yeah, I guess we did have a board meeting, but I don't.
You don't really have, okay, that's fine. And I have just a couple things. We did have an IC meeting last week. That's Wednesday. And I think Brad had sent an email out, but just to make certain that all the directors are aware, there is the legislative conference coming up in DC. So if you're interested in attending that, make certain you put that on the agenda. I think most of you participated in a survey about the IC strategic planning last December. There've been a couple of updates. This is going to be a continuation through part of 26. Well, what members say is working well currently is advocating IC strongest areas, is that serving the leadership, development, safety, mutual aid, unifying. IC is seen as an effective convener that fosters collaboration and peer engagement and overall perception. IC is consistently described as responsive, supportive, and effective. I don't know that any of us will still be involved with the strategic planning, but I will tell you that there was there's regional meeting that we're going to have in June, and it's gonna be here on the 11th. But I don't think there's going to be any strategic stuff going on at that point in time. One other item I wanted to bring to your attention, the annual meeting. Of course, it was moved this year because of some stuff going on at the previous location. IEC did have a contract with that group through 27. It's still in place. So there'll be another annual meeting, the 26th and 27th, very similar to what we've had in the past years. But the following year, 28, they're gonna make some changes, and I'm not sure. I'll certainly share more when I know more. But it won't be. I don't think it'll be a 2-day event. I think it'll be a little less structured. Business meeting, maybe even at the new headquarters. So that's really about all I have. But I just wanted to make you aware of those things. Anybody have anything else? I was going to mention the Hoosier annual meeting. We mentioned it, I think, last month. I'm planning on going.
I'm definitely, are you going on Tuesday and Wednesday or just Wednesday?
Just the one day. So if anybody else.
I haven't had Jeannie register me yet, but I'm planning on Wednesday at the 8th.
Okay, just the one day.
I got to vote.
Right. You got to do that. So make sure you let Jeannie know if you're not going to register on your own. And then, if I'm not mistaken, that's probably, unless anybody has anything else.
I was out at Palm Springs, the directors meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carl, I'm glad you said something. Yeah, share with us.
So,
Tell us.
Sunday, we got, of course, our plane was delayed, or they canceled one flight and went to another flight. We had to get there on Friday night. But, Sunday went to the meeting and our good friend Brian Singletary was the guy talking. He talks too much.
He was there.
No, he's the one that ran the class.
Okay, oh, okay.
And most of it was just basically on what we thought was the most efficient source of energy being out there. Of course, when you get down to south, some people say, hey, I really like solar. Well, because they get a lot of sun down there. But if you get up in Minnesota, you know, we don't want solar. It's only one shit for, I mean, you can, you know, so you just think about that. But the one that they consensus on was nuclear, the small nuclear plants. They're thinking this is someplace that would work. I mean, all over. I mean, not just in one spot, but all over the United States. The only worst part about that is that who wants a solar plant in the backyard? I mean, where do you put them? You know, because there's such a, you know, big thing, and not solar plant, but a nuclear plant in the backyard. So that's basically the topic was all about that stuff, everything like that. So,
How about the conference itself? Were there?
Oh, it was a good conference.
Were there a lot of other topics that were discussed?
Not really. I went to the dinner on Monday evening like that, and also the breakfast on Monday morning and stuff like that. And then Tuesday was just classes you go through, you know, breakout sections. And it was the same thing. I mean, it was all just talking about where can we get energy and how can we get it to places need to. That's basically about it. Look like that.
So is that conference pretty well attended? I mean, is there?
Not so much as probably down there in San Antonio. There wasn't as many people there. Not quite as much like that. But it was pretty good. There was a lot of different ones there and stuff still going on and stuff like that. I talked to guys from South Carolina to Washington. So, and everything in between like that. But it was pretty good. So.
Good.
But the nuclear is what they think could do that, but
So there's been a lot of talk. So it'll be
don't know
interesting.
where you want to put
The
it.
fires.
Okay.
All right, anybody have anything else? Kind of a past meeting, but that's okay. I think, ready for a motion to adjourn the open session. We are going into executive session. All right, we are adjourned. And we talking a little bit. Anybody needs a quick break? We're good.
Yeah, you want to. You can see water.